All right, listen up, skeptics and curious minds, because we're about to embark on an astonishing journey into the tangled web, where government paranoia and the pursuit of mind-bending secrets collide. Ever wondered what happens when these two forces converge? Well, in 1953, smack dab in the midst of the Cold War, that's precisely when Operation MKUltra came to life. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill government project. It was a fully funded roller coaster masterminded by the CIA. Why, you ask? Because they thought it was a good idea to dive into the wacky world of truth drugs. And who was the star of the show? None other than lysergic acid diethylamide, also known as LSD. Sadly, their aim wasn't just to throw the greatest party ever and perhaps make you crap your pants. It was all about mind control, interrogation, and torture. MKUltra isn't just about experiments gone haywire. It's a mesmerizing window into the turbulent dynamics of the Cold War era, the wielding of post-war American might, and the shadowy depths of the American government itself. And for those who like to get slapped with irony, which is my kink. MKUltra is the incredible story of how the CIA ushered LSD onto American soil. Get ready for a trip through history that's as mind-bending as the substances they were researching. But hey, let's not keep all this fascinating knowledge to ourselves. Join our community of curious minds by subscribing right away. When you do, drop us a comment saying "I subscribe" to let us know you're on board. We'll be thrilled to respond and engage with your questions and suggestions. Together, let's embark on an exciting journey to uncover hidden secrets and untold tales on Becker's casual history. The US government's journey into the realm of mind control began in 1949, a time when the spectre of communist manipulation was looming large. It all started during the trial of Hungarian Cardinal Mindzentry, a vocal critic of the communist regime. Something seemed amiss as Mindzentry displayed an eerie absent-mindedness, robot-like movements, and shockingly confessed to crimes he had never committed. This peculiar behavior raised red flags, and the US government hastily entertained the notion of behavior manipulation. Enter Allen Dulles, the director of the CIA, who wasted no time assembling a team to scrutinize Russian interrogation techniques. But that wasn't the only curveball thrown their way. US prisoners of war, returning from their captivity in Korea, brought with them startling claims. They not only said the US Army used biological weapons, but also liked some things about Korean life that they didn't like about their own. With these puzzle pieces in hand, the US government became increasingly convinced of the existence of brainwashing techniques. Thus, in 1953, they allocated a hefty sum of $25 million from government coffers to the Technical Services Division for MKUltra projects. Their mission? To delve into the study of human responses to drugs and environmental conditions that could potentially manipulate individuals into performing actions against their own will. Dr. Sidney Gottlieb served as the mastermind behind MKUltra. Despite his rather discreet presence, even within the CIA, Gottlieb enjoyed what could be aptly described as a license to kill, generously granted by the US government. Dulles, the man with the grand plan, instructed Gottlieb to embark on a quest to discover a truth serum that could potentially tilt the balance during the Cold War. Gottlieb's strategy was a two-step process. First, obliterate the existing mind, and then attempt the audacious feat of implanting a new way of thinking. Although they didn't do well with the second goal, they definitely put in a lot of effort to unravel minds during their fascinating journey. Before the curious days of MKUltra, much of the groundwork on hallucinogenic drugs had been laid by the infamous Nazi doctors in the grim confines of concentration camps during World War II. Now our dirt squirrel Gottlieb had quite the notion. He decided to recruit not just any scientists, but the very ones with ties to the Nazis and their Japanese counterparts to tap into their findings. What they uncovered was nothing short of chilling. German military physicians operating in the horrors of Dachau and Auschwitz had been toying with barbiturates, morphine derivatives and mescaline since 1943, all in the name of interrogation. Gottlieb was particularly intrigued by mescaline, which had seen trials at Dachau with the aim of eliminating the will of those subjected to it. However, their verdict was that mescaline was too unreliable to be a reliable truth serum. Thus, the CIA set its sights on a new Swiss sensation, LSD. So convinced was Gottlieb of the potential of LSD that he bought up the world's entire supply for a cool $250,000, with the noble intent of thwarting communist efforts to secure the drug. In doing so, the CIA inadvertently introduced LSD to the United States. As fate would have it, this same drug, believed to grant the government the power to manipulate minds, would go on to fuel a generation of young adults seeking to dismantle everything the CIA represented. In essence, MKUltra can be seen as a dark continuation of the research initiated by the Nazis in their nightmarish concentration camps. Gottlieb, in his quest for answers, experimented on thousands of unwitting subjects, with prisoners at the forefront of his sinister tests. In one chilling example, 7 African-American inmates in Lexington, Kentucky, were subjected to triple doses of LSD daily for a staggering 77 days. This was all in a bid to determine how much it would take to shatter a human mind. In another disturbing experiment, inmates were fed LSD for a year, all for Gottlieb to study the drug's long-term effects. These unfortunate subjects were led to believe they were part of research on a schizophrenia drug. In a world where the phrase, "this can't be a good idea," seems to be the order of the day, he extended his testing into the hallowed halls of universities across the United States. Believe it or not, luminaries like Ken Kesey, the author of the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, got their inaugural dose of LSD courtesy of these clandestine experiments. Joining Kesey in this dubious club were the likes of Allen Ginsberg, Robert Hunter, and even Ted Kaczynski, better known as the Unabomber. But if you thought that was as eerie as it gets, prepare yourself for a particularly unsettling chapter in the MKUltra saga, known as Operation Midnight Climax. This operation was something straight out of a spy thriller, where specially designed apartments were rigged up so that MKUltra operatives could clandestinely observe as female sex workers, employed by the CIA, would lure unsuspecting CIA agents home and spike their drinks with LSD. The objective? To gauge whether government secrets would be unwittingly divulged under the influence of the drug. Gottlieb's conclusion, however, was rather disconcerting. It appeared that men were prone to spill the beans post-coitus, with the involvement of LSD making little difference. Experiments also extended beyond the borders of the United States. The patients, if they could even be called that, comprised of suspected enemy agents, refugees, and captured North Korean prisoners of war. These international trials yielded a distressing number of fatalities and were characterized by harrowing combinations of drugs, torture, and interrogation techniques. However, official information regarding these experiments remains scant due to the deliberate destruction of MKUltra documents at the behest of Gottlieb and Richard Helms in 1973. This act strongly implies that both Gottlieb and Helms were acutely aware of the inhumanity inherent in their experiments and the potentially catastrophic fallout should their contents ever be exposed. After a decade of relentless experimentation, MKUltra gradually lost its momentum. It became evident that while the destruction of a mind was a conceivable endeavor, the task of constructing a new one remained an insurmountable challenge. Nevertheless, Sidney Gottlieb's career within the CIA carried on. During this period, Gottlieb assumed the rather ominous title of the Poisoner-in-Chief, serving as the head of the technical services staff. By profession, he was a chemist, but his talents found a more sinister application as he contributed to the development of poisons for the CIA's clandestine purposes. Gottlieb's activities extended to involvement in plots to eliminate figures of significance, including Cuban dictator Fidel Castro and Congolese independence leader Patrice Lumumba. However, his career came to an end in 1973, coinciding with the removal of Richard Helms from his position following the Watergate scandal. As Helms had served as Gottlieb's patron and protector, his departure left Gottlieb unable to continue operating in the cloak of anonymity within the CIA. After retiring, Gottlieb chose to devote his time to an unusual cause alongside his wife in India, aiding those afflicted by leprosy. This compassionate endeavor stood in stark contrast to his previous career. It was during this period in India that the veil of secrecy around Gottlieb's involvement in covert CIA operations began to unravel, leading to his summons to testify before the Church Committee in 1975. The Church Committee, a select committee in the US Senate established during President Gerald Ford's tenure in 1975, was tasked with probing misconduct by agencies like the CIA, FBI, and other government entities in the aftermath of the Watergate scandal. While the committee unearthed a trove of documents linked to MKUltra, Gottlieb was primarily portrayed as a chemist, with the full extent of MKUltra's horrors still concealed. The arduous task of exposing Gottlieb's true role fell upon the shoulders of the victims of his experiments. The revelations that emerged from the church committee allowed members of the public to gradually piece together their traumatic experiences and comprehend the magnitude of what had transpired. MKUltra, in all its dark complexity, offers a mere glimpse into the immense power wielded by the CIA and the American government. It lays bare the frenzied, covert nature of the Cold War era and the lengths to which the US government was willing to go in its rivalry with the Soviet Union. Yet, in their pursuit, they betrayed thousands of their own citizens, ensnaring them in experiments that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. What we know of MKUltra represents but a fraction of its chilling narrative. Much of it remains locked away in classified or redacted documents, hinting at a horror story that defies imagination. I'll leave it up to you to see how far the rabbit hole goes. Before we wrap up, have you ever been fascinated by time travel? Get ready to immerse yourself in the captivating story of Ukrainian time traveler Sergei Ponomarenko. Just a click away is your passport to an adventure that will transport you into a world that will make you question the very fabric of existence. Let's dive in.